Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Tiffany and this is the Passionately Crafted podcast. And we are here today for knitting podcast number 17. And I'm excited. It is Friday, February 7th. Is that right? Yep. Friday, February 7th. And it is a little later in the day than I normally film, so it's not quite as great of lighting as I would have hoped. And I'm in the living room, so Cooper may make some appearances because he can jump on the couch and sit here with me if he wants, so you guys can hang out with him. This is Cooper. If you haven't been here before, I'm Tiffany. This is Cooper, and Cooper is a 4-month-old, almost, gosh, is he almost 5 months old? Almost a 5-month-old golden doodle. His mom's a poodle, his dad's a golden doodle, so yeah, but he's a puppy and he's a little wild, so sometimes he's crazy and I have to pause my videos and wait for him to calm down. So hopefully we don't have a whole lot of that today. But if you're new here, welcome. Really nice to meet you. And if you're returning, thanks for coming back and watching the podcast. I have a lot to go over with you guys today. I actually, what do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4 sweaters to talk about. So 1 finished object and 1 new start and 2 whips that I have worked on. Oh, and I have a gauge swatch. So lots to go over, lots to talk about. Hopefully it won't be too long, but let's see, and hopefully we don't lose the light that we have. It's kind of an overcast day today too, so it's just not the best lighting, but hopefully it's not too bad for you guys. So if you do not already follow me on Instagram and you would like to, that information is below, along with my Ravelry information and my email in case you need to get a hold of me. And I think that's it, and we can jump on in. So I have a finished object for you guys today. I finished my porcelain sweater and I am in love with it. I love it so much. And I'm just really excited to have it done. This has been on the needles since April of 2024. I cast this on a cruise to Mexico and messed it up like a handful of times and had to restart. And then I worked on this when I went on a work trip. I messed it up, had to start that over. So this was a learning sweater for me, but it's done. So let's talk a little bit about the sweater, the process, the yarn, the pattern, all of that. So I knit this in the size medium. And oh, this is the porcelain sweater by Lay Knit, or Lene Holmes Samso. It's a very popular pattern. I'm sure you guys have seen it before. I knit it in the size medium, and I knit it with the called for yarn, which was Sandnes Garn 10 Peer Ghent held with Sandnes Garn 10 Silk Mohair. My main color was the 10 Peer Ghent in the color Oatmeal paired with the mohair in the color Almond. And I cannot take credit for that combo. I did get inspired for that combo from Jessica from Those Twins Who Knit. I really loved her main color and I decided to give that a try. And then my contrast color is different from hers. My contrast color is both of those yarns in the color Blackberry. So really love the dark purple and the contrast with the cream. It's a gorgeous pattern. The color work blocked out so nicely. So I did have to go up a needle size on this to get gauge. So I did knit the sweater on a US 7 and the ribbing on a US 4. Which it calls for a US 6 and a US 3. So I just went up 1 needle size on both. And then what else? There's a couple of things I want to point out about this pattern. So if you decide to knit this just to prepare you, the top color work band, you do have to do color work flat. So you have to do color work purling. I did not find it to be too terrible. But that being said, I did have some issues in the beginning. Like I said, I had to restart this a couple times, and that was all because my color work misalignment and like reading the charts in the way that I needed to purl. Because when you're knitting in the round, you can read the charts a certain way, but when you're knitting and purling, you have to read them a certain way, and I messed up. So just keep that in mind if you decide to proceed with knitting this. And what else? I did find an error, and Jessica does reference the same error in her version of this, and I don't know if it's just the smaller sizes that have this issue or not, but in the pattern, and I won't give too much away, it tells you to pick up an even number of stitches for the arms, and there's no decreases between when you pick up and when you start the color work, but the color work charts have an odd number of stitches by one less than what you're told to pick up. And so there's no way to do the color work chart with the number of stitches that you cast on. So what I had to do was I had to go in and do a decrease on one side of the sleeve, and then I made up for that at the bottom when I did my last decrease in this stockinette section. I only did one on the opposite. So on the beginning of round, I did one, and on the end of round, I did one up here. So just something to keep in mind if you are knitting these smaller sizes. Like I said, I'm not sure if it affects the larger sizes, but that is something that I noticed. I did the called for collar construction. Mine is a little bit wonky, but it's not too bad. I'll stand up and show you guys the length. So once it was blocked, it really did block out to like a really good length for the sleeves, really good length for the body, and just all around, I love her. She's so gorgeous. So once I really set myself to have a goal on this, I was right around here in the body, so joined for sleeves and everything, but I was right around here, and I hadn't touched this in a while. And so I recently did do a challenge to get through this sweater. I had the rest of the body to do, the collar to do, and the sleeves. And I did get that done in the matter of, I think it ended up being 11 days to finish the sweater. I was hoping to do a little bit faster, but you know, that didn't happen, but that's okay. And overall, I'm super happy with the finished product. I love the fit. I probably could have gone down a size if we're being honest. If I'm grabbing at my waist is here. So it's big, but I don't mind it. Like, I don't mind it at all. If I knit this pattern again, I might knit I think it was there was an extra small, extra small, and then an extra small. So I think I would probably do the extra small. This is the medium. And I think that would fit me just fine, but I don't mind this. I like an oversized, comfy, cozy sweater, so I like it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say. The bind offs throughout, I did an Italian sewn bind off. She doesn't give you a particular bind off. She says she prefers a tubular bind off. I just happened to be able to do an Italian sewn bind off without thinking. So I just went ahead and did that for all of the ribbings. I knit this to the length that it spells out in the pattern. I knit the sleeves to the length that's spelled out in the pattern. I followed everything in the pattern pretty closely besides just having to fix that color work thing. Other than that, I didn't modify anything. So I love it so much, and I'm so happy to have it in my sweater collection. And so now we'll jump into what I worked on next. So the next thing that I did was I swatched for my next lay knit pattern, which is going to be the terracotta sweater. Now, I thought I was going to cast this on as my next cast on, but I ended up getting selected for a test knit, which I'll talk to you guys about in a minute. So this one's going to wait just a bit, but I am glad that I went ahead and swatched it, and I'm so excited. The base color is a little bit warmer than this. I don't know if that is coming across, but it's a little bit warmer. And the yarn that I am using in this swatch is, let me pull it over here, Isayer Alpaca 2, I think, in the color E0 Cream. And that is paired with Knitting for Olive. Let me see. Ooh, Knitting for Olive in the colorway Mushroom Rose. So that is my color, and when those are held together, it really creates this pretty tannish color that leans warm. And then my main color, they're both Isair Alpaca 2 and Isair Mohair, and I'll put the color numbers for these below, but it's that really pretty terracotta orange color that you show there in the color work. So I actually haven't measured if I got gauge. I just took this off the blocking mat. So let's see how we did. All right, so, okay, we're perfect on stitch gauge, and I don't know how we are on, I think we're about 1 stitch off on row gauge, but I can make that work. So this is a US 6, and it looks like we got gauge on that. So whenever I have room on the needles, I will be able to get that cast on. It uses a US 6, my test knit uses a US 6, and all my 6s were taken up, so I had to choose, and obviously the test knit took priority. So I'm happy to have that swatch though, and I will be very excited to cast that on soon. So the next whip that I put some work in on is for a knit along that's being hosted by Casey from Young Folk Knits and Jessica and Rachel from Those Twins Who Knit, and it is for the Stornoway sweater cal. The Stornoway sweater is by Cheryl, I can't pronounce her last name, Makataki, I don't remember her last name, but from Coco Amore Knitwear, and this is where I am at. So this was an interesting construction, and I want to talk a little bit about it because I ended up with so many ends on this project that it is absolutely insane on this back panel. I think now I'll be okay, but the back panel was just very interesting. If you can see, that's obviously you're looking at the inside, which has all my ends, but this is the outside. The back panel is on hold. I have finished the front left shoulder. My next step is to pick up and knit the front right shoulder, which I'm hoping to do this weekend. And then I think I will be joining in the front and knitting the rest of the front panel and then joining in the round. I'm knitting this in the size 3. And I am knitting it with a combination of Kelborn Woolen's Scout held with Sandnes Garn Tin Silk Mohair in the color Cream. And then my contrast color is a unnamed dark green DK weight yarn from Moonglow Yarn Co. that's no longer available. And I'm holding that with Sandnes Garn Tin Silk Mohair in Deep Forest Green. And I love this. I don't have anything with this color combo in my wardrobe. I'm excited to bring green into my closet. If you watched my goals video, which if you haven't already, go check that out for my 2025 goals. One of my goals is to diversify my color palette a bit. So I'm super excited to be bringing in colors like burnt orange and deep forest green, because that's definitely a new color palette for my collection of sweaters. So this is a worsted weight, so it's a DK held with mohair, so it does knit up pretty quickly. But let's chat about this construction. So I love this detail of having the main color run along this back shoulder seam, and as you can see here, when you pick up, you have this very pretty detail where you've got the main color kind of surrounding the green color, right? And it gives a really cool construction element. But in order to achieve that, you have to cut your yarn a bunch of times. That's the only way I could figure out how to do it. So because there's an odd number of rows of the contrast color, and because you have to do 3 stitches on this side and 3 stitches on this side of the main color for every single row, it just ended up where you had to have a main color kind of going over here, and then your contrast, and then a main color going over here, And it was a lot. There was a lot to think about in terms of that, because you couldn't carry your floats like all the way across. It just didn't make sense. But we got through it, and we will weave in all the ends and it'll be okay. But I just wanted to point that out. I'm really excited with how this is knitting up. I haven't modified anything that I'm aware of, maybe by mistake, but not on purpose. And I will be hopefully showing you guys a in the round sweater next time you see it. So I think that's everything on this one. I'm knitting it on the called for needles, which is a US 8. And I am gonna be playing a little bit of yarn chicken with my contrast color. I'm hoping I end up okay, but we're gonna see. We might end up where the sleeves have a more solid cuff, or like more solid bottom of the sleeve, or I don't know what we're gonna do if I run out of yarn, but I'm hopeful. So we'll see what happens. But here we go. That's my Storing Away sweater. Okay, the next thing, put this back where it belongs. The next thing that I worked on is a long-standing whip that I cast on this fall, and I am trying to get some stitches in on it. And I picked this up because the Modern Skein, which is my local yarn store, is hosting a knit along right now for cardigans that started February 1st. And I asked them, can I use a whip? And she said, yeah, join us. So I am in the middle of a row, so I apologize about that. You can't see the full width of this, but this is my Hannah cardigan, my size, which is an all over half fisherman's rib cardigan. And I'm knitting this in the size medium on the called for needles, and I'm knitting it with a combination of Woolfolk Fleck in the color F1, which is cream, and I'm holding that with Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair in the color Snowflake. So that is what this guy is. It is the squishiest, softest thing. If you have not knit half fisherman's rib, I highly recommend it. It's really not that complicated. And this yarn, like Woolfolk, I've heard people talk about Woolfolk yarn, and every time I touch it, I cannot wait to have the finished object. So when I picked this up from when you saw it last, I was here. So I've done about 1.5 inches, and I'm almost done with this back panel. I think I just have a few more rows, and then the back stitches will go on hold, and I will start working on one of the shoulders. So we're making some good progress on this. I really am hoping to finish this back panel maybe this weekend. I have a lot of knitting time this weekend, so I am hopeful to hit some pretty good milestones on the sweaters that I'm working on. So the final whip that I have to chat about today, and then I do have a little bit of haul, is a test knit that I was selected for. This is for Coco Amore Knitwear, Cheryl, and this is the Saharan sweater V-neck. And originally I applied for the regular Saharan sweater. She did a test call for that a few days before this one, and I did not get chosen, but I had told her in the comments when I applied, I said, I do have yarn ready to go. And so then she put up a test knit call for the V-neck, and she did choose me. So that's awesome. I'm super excited. I don't have any V-neck sweaters in my wardrobe. So this is where we're at. I had already had a swatch ready to go because I swatched this yarn combo, which is a dark purple. I don't know if you can tell that kind of, the color is not coming through, it kind of looks black, but it is a dark purple, like an eggplanty purple. I had swatched for my Monday sweater with this combination of yarn, and I got gauge, but I went with a different color, same exact yarn combo, just different colorway. And so I knew when she put out her gauge that it was on a US 6 and it was this gauge, I knew that I had exact yarn combo that would work great for this. And I've always wanted a solid colored dark purple sweater. I have this one that has purple in it, and then I have my So Faded sweater that fades to like a variegated purple, but I don't have a solid purple, and purple's my favorite color. So yeah, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. So at this point, I cast this on a few nights ago, and I as soon as I found out I made it and I got the pattern in my email, I went ahead and cast it on, and I have finished the back panel. It's curling, so I have to hold it out for you. It's about 19.5 centimeters of stockinette in a rectangle. So really easy start, reminds me a lot of the stripe hype in the beginner friendliness of the cast on. You just cast on a certain number of stitches and knit straight for a certain amount of length. And then today I did pick up the first shoulder, the left-hand shoulder. It's where my needles are now. And I just started in on a couple rows of short rows, like barely started for the shoulder. So that is where we are at. And I am really excited to see this sweater come to life. I'm knitting this size 3. I'm knitting it on the called for needles, which is a US 6. And I'm knitting it in, I should tell you the yarn. I'm knitting it in Woolly Knit British 4-ply in the color Foxglove, which is this beautiful eggplanty purple. And I'm holding that with drops mohair, and I will put the color number for the mohair below. But yeah, that's what we got. We've got plenty of yarn. I did the calculations because I have used that cone a bit before, but I have 1900 yards of, or meters, 1900 meters of yarn left. And I'm holding it single with the mohair, so I have plenty of yarn for the sweater. And I'm excited to see it bloom upon washing, and yeah. So that is my final whip. I'm gonna clean some space off of my memory card really quick, and then I will show you guys the haul that I have. Okay, so last thing that I have to go over with you guys today is my haul. So last weekend, I think it was last weekend, the 31st and the 1st of February, yeah, last weekend, the Modern Skein had their kind of grand opening of their new location, and they did have a trunk show there from Twisted Ambitions yarn. I think his name is Ross. And so Ross came in from Oklahoma and brought so much beautiful yarn, and so I decided to get a sweaters quantity because that's what I do. And you'll never guess what color is involved. Could it be purple? Could it be very similar shade of purple? I don't know, but I'll show you guys. And I already have a pattern picked out for this. It's also by Coco or More Knitwear. I don't know if you guys have looked at her patterns, but I think there's going to be a lot of them in my future. Like, there's many that I want to knit, but that is for another video. This one in particular though, I do have the yarn for, so we will look at that. All right, so what did I get? I love this color. It's such a pretty tonal purple. I got my main colors, which are in his DK base. Wicked DK is what it's called, and it's 100% merino. I got it in the color Smoke, and I got it in the color Aubergine. So those two colors, like I said, very, very similar purple. A little bit more grapey than this one, but very similar. And the sweater I want to make is here, Salcombe sweater. And so I want to do the gray where the white is, and then the purple where the blue is. That's kind of my plan. So it does call for a DK weight held with a mohair. It's another worsted weight. So I already have plenty of that purple mohair. I have leftovers from my porcelain sweater in the Sandnes Garn, Tin Silk Mohair, and Blackberry. And then I have plenty of the drops, and they're very similar. So like, I think if I had to, so this is Blackberry, this is the drops. Very, very similar in color. So the core of this one might be a little bit more visible than the core of this one, but I think that if I were to run out of this, I could always supplement with this. But this is almost an entire skein of mohair, and it does only call for one for the contrast color. So I think I'm okay with the mohair for the purple. I think I can make that work, but I did go ahead and get a skein of the smoke mohair from Twisted Ambitions yarn to hold with the gray. And I don't know when I will be casting that on, but I got it. And then I did get a few of his mini skeins because he has such fun bright colors for my Sweet Shop blanket or for socks. I don't really know, but sorry, I'm getting work IMs. But yeah, so that is all I have in terms of haul. And I think that's everything. So I'm excited about everything that I'm working on right now. I'm excited to be doing another test knit. One of my goals this year was to be involved in test knits and be a part of the community in that way. So I'm excited to say that I've got one on the needles right now. I am excited that I'm knitting the Store and Away. It's part of a cowl because that's another goal, is to be a part of knit alongs. I'm knitting the Hannah cardigan as part of a knit along. I've got some new fresh colors in my arsenal here. Although I also am a creature of habit and have a lot of purple. Just don't judge me, it's fine. But yeah, so I'm excited about the track we're on for this year, and I'm hoping to keep cranking out sweaters for you guys. My deadline on this test knit is mid-March, so I should definitely have another finished object here in the next few weeks in this one, and it is knitting up pretty quickly, so we shall see how much we can crank out of that. And then I've got whips for days, so hopefully we can make some progress on the Store and Away sweater and the Hannah cardigan, and we'll have some more finished objects, maybe one more finished object in February. I don't know, I only got 2 weeks left, but we'll see what we can do. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, I hope you'll stick around and subscribe and come back and join us for the next one. And I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.